Welcome to the Bullvine Podcast, your go-to source for inside stories, cutting-edge research, and the latest updates in the world of dairy farming. In the 60th episode, we explore how high beef prices change dairy breeding strategies. So please grab a glass of milk, sit back, and let's get started with this week's episode.
The escalation in beef prices has rippled across the agricultural scene, permanently shifting the dynamics for dairy producers. The USDA's record-setting fresh beef retail price of $8.21 per pound in September 2024 marks an extraordinary spike, striking at the financial foundations of dairy operations. Dairy producers are reconsidering their breeding approaches in response to these economic challenges. One key strategy that has emerged is beef-on-dairy crossbreeding, which involves breeding dairy cows with beef bulls to produce calves with dairy and beef characteristics, tapping into the booming beef sector. The National Association of Animal Breeders, NAAB, reported a 4% drop in domestic dairy semen sales in 2023, contrasted by a surge of 1 million units in beef semen sales for dairies. Once dependent solely on dairy genetics, dairy producers are now increasingly opting for beef influences, a strategic shift born from necessity yet laden with long-term implications. As they tread this new path, these choices are molding their everyday procedures and forging the future of dairy production.
Why are beef prices swimming with the big fish right now? 2 words, supply and cost. The national beef herd has taken quite a hit, shrinking to its smallest size in over 7 decades. Why? Farmers and ranchers are battling against persistent droughts and climbing operational costs. It's a tough gig out there. The USDA's Economic Research Service reported that these relentless hardships have nudged many to cut down on their herd sizes, inevitably pushing beef prices up, and away. Last year alone, beef retail values hit an astounding $8.21 per pound. Talk about sticker shock. This represents the highest they've ever been, with prices inching up 5 cents from the previous month and soaring by nearly 39 cents compared to last year. However, it's not just beef producers who are feeling the pinch. With beef prices scaling new heights, dairy farmers are also realigning their strategies to navigate this price storm.
The surge in beef prices has prompted dairy farmers to reevaluate their breeding strategies, seeking avenues to capitalize on profitable opportunities presented by the beef market. Traditionally, dairy operations have prioritized breeding with dairy bulls, focusing solely on the continuity and expansion of their milk-producing herds. However, with beef prices climbing to unprecedented levels, many dairy farmers are venturing into previously uncharted territory by integrating beef genetics into their breeding programs. This strategic pivot primarily involves substituting a portion of the breeding with beef bulls instead of dairy bulls. The result? A crossbred calf that is significantly more valuable in the current market landscape. This shift not only presents a lucrative path for boosting income by selling these crossbred calves to beef feedlots, but also necessitates careful planning to ensure the sustainability of dairy operations. By embracing the integration of beef bulls, dairy farmers create a dual-purpose herd that accommodates milk production and beef calf sales. With their robust beef traits, these crossbred calves fetch a competitive price, supplementing the farmer's revenue streams. However, the decision to divert from pure dairy breeding poses challenges, chief among them being the restricted availability of heifers, young female cattle that have not yet borne a calf, needed to replenish and grow the dairy herd.
Let's delve into the economic implications of dairy farmers selling crossbred calves to feedlots. With beef prices hitting unprecedented highs, many dairy producers have found a silver lining by integrating beef genetics into their herds. This strategic shift towards producing crossbred calves has proven financially rewarding for many. According to the National Association of Animal Breeders, NAAB, there is a significant trend. Domestic sales of dairy semen dropped by 4% in 2023, with a parallel increase of 1 million units in beef semen sold to dairies. Remarkably, 84% of all beef semen was sold to dairies, underscoring this strategic pivot. The financial benefits of this shift are clear, offering a promising future income for dairy farmers. What does this mean in dollars and cents? These beef dairy crossbred calves often command premium prices when sold to feedlots. They are valuable for their meat potential and offer a diversification strategy that bolsters dairy operations' cash flow. Increased income from these calves can provide dairy farms with the financial cushion needed amidst fluctuating milk prices and operational costs. This trend highlights a new financial landscape in which dairy farmers are no longer just milk producers, but strategically position themselves within the beef market. While this shift presents a welcome opportunity to maximize revenue, it also requires careful herd management to balance the number of crossbred and dairy replacement heifers. This emphasis on careful management underscores dairy farmers' crucial role in the industry, making them feel valued and integral to its success.
However, as with any strategic decision, there are trade-offs involved. The switch to breeding with beef bulls, while lucrative in the short term, has restricted the pool of purebred dairy replacement heifers. A limited number of these heifers means farmers can't grow their dairy operations even when the financial environment is otherwise favorable. This shortage imposes a bottleneck on dairy herd expansion. Without enough heifers to replenish the herd, dairy producers are left in a quandary. How can they increase milk production when they can't increase herd size? This problem affects today's operations and casts a shadow on future planning. The scenario leads to a complex balancing act. On one hand, the lure of immediate profits from beef crossbred calves is tough to resist. Conversely, the long-term ramifications of a constrained supply of replacement heifers should be considered. The dilemma raises a pertinent question for dairy farmers. Is the short-term gain worth the potential long-term pain? This conundrum looms as the industry navigates these turbulent waters, prompting deliberation and innovation.
As we look toward the horizon, the dairy industry's future intertwines more with the beef market than ever. The current trajectory of breeding dairy cattle with beef genetics isn't just a temporary strategy. It's a seismic shift that might redefine the industry. The economics driving it are hard to ignore, as dairy producers see immediate financial benefits in the form of higher value calves. These gains, however, come with their own set of trade-offs. On the one hand, we see an opportunity. Crossbred calves have opened a revenue stream that supports dairy farmers amid fluctuating milk prices. But this raises a question. At what cost does this short-term gain come to traditional dairy operations? With fewer purebred dairy heifers being raised, the potential for expanding or even maintaining dairy herd sizes becomes constrained. This could eventually limit milk production capacity, posing a long-term risk to individual producers and the supply chain. This highlights the need for cautious decision-making and long-term planning, making dairy farmers feel the weight of their choices. If this trend continues, and all signs indicate that it will, dairy herds could plateau or even reduce in size. The decision to favor profitability now might lead to challenges in the future, as lower availability of dairy genetics could lead to a scarcity of quality cows and higher prices for dairy cattle. One potential outcome of sustained beef-on-dairy breeding is a fundamental restructuring of the dairy industry. Smaller, specialized dairy farms may emerge that focus significantly on milk production. At the same time, more extensive operations might increasingly resemble hybrid enterprises, balancing milk yield with beef calf sales. The key for producers will be to strike a balance, ensuring that diversification today doesn't compromise tomorrow's viability. As we navigate these uncertain waters, stakeholders in the dairy industry will need to stay vigilant, adaptable, and innovative. The decisions made now will shape the industry's landscape for decades.
The dairy and beef markets intertwining has forged a path brimming with possibilities and precariousness. Breeding dairy cows with beef bulls produces fewer heifers, so there is an anticipated scarcity of dairy replacement heifers. This shortage poses a significant risk of introducing volatility into the dairy sector. Supply dynamics are critical. As heifer numbers dwindle, dairy farmers might need help to expand their herds when market conditions would otherwise favor increased milk production. The scarcity of heifers, a primary replenisher of the dairy herd, could constrict supply and elevate operational costs in the dairy industry. What does this mean for milk prices? Naturally, prices will likely escalate when supply tightens, while demand remains steady or increases. In this scenario, consumers could face fluctuating milk prices, driven by the availability of replacement heifers, or the lack thereof. While this dynamic might yield some periods of profitability for farmers, it also introduces a spectrum of uncertainty that can complicate long-term planning. There's a potential silver lining to navigating market ebbs and flows. Producers who master the balance between beef and dairy genetics might find themselves strategically positioned in a flexible market, ready to capitalize on shifts. Yet for others, this might spark a storm of unpredictability, challenging traditional modes of operation. Are dairy producers ready to navigate these waters? As the interplay between beef and dairy deepens, this question resonates across farmsteads worldwide, demanding insight and adaptation from all involved.
Integrating beef genetics into dairy breeding introduces a critical risk: the potential reduction in genetic diversity within dairy herds. In pursuing short-term profits through crossbreeding, dairy producers might inadvertently compromise the genetic pool carefully cultivated over generations. Such a narrowing of genetics can lead to decreased herd health and resilience, leaving dairy operations vulnerable to diseases and environmental stresses. Genetic diversity is a cornerstone of herd robustness. It equips animals with the genetic traits necessary to survive and adapt to challenging conditions. When diversity diminishes, so does the herd's ability to fend off infections, adapt to changing climates, and maintain overall productivity. Farmers must balance the financial benefits of crossbreeding with the genetic fortitude of their herds. How can they walk this tightrope? And one approach is implementing genetic management strategies, such as maintaining a portion of the herd bred with dairy genetics to preserve core traits. Additionally, advanced genetic testing and monitoring can help track genetic health markers and guide breeding decisions. Another measure is diversifying genetic sources. Instead of solely depending on a limited selection of beef bulls, farmers should source genetics from a broader spectrum of dairy and beef breeds. This approach can help ensure critical dairy traits remain intact beyond recognition. These proactive steps can help dairy farmers navigate the complexities of maintaining herd health amid changing breeding practices. They can safeguard their operations' long-term viability and resilience by prioritizing genetic diversity.
Globally, the dairy-beef integration isn't confined to the U.S. Across the pond in the UK, dairy producers have also embraced beef genetics. With beef prices increasing amid similar herd reductions and economic pressures, British farmers find that crossbreeding their dairy cattle can provide a lucrative revenue stream. The strategy is paying off as demand for high-quality beef continues to rise, not unlike trends in the U.S. Meanwhile, in Australia, the focus has been slightly different. Australian dairy farmers are leaning on technology and genetic advancements for revenue diversification and to bolster herd health and efficiency. With beef prices rising, they're keen on breeding strategies that add value without compromising the core dairy operations. This twofold approach offers a practical lesson in managing risk while optimizing outputs. Could these strategies find merit in your plans? In New Zealand, crossbreeding is only one piece of a broader puzzle. The emphasis is on sustainability alongside economic gain. Kiwi farmers are exploring integrating more environmentally friendly practices while capitalizing on beef demand. This green tactic preserves the land for future generations and has increasingly found favor with conscientious consumers. Examining these international approaches might reveal resonating strategies, offering a refreshing perspective on navigating the evolving market landscape. Could broadened tactics offer new opportunities for your dairy farm?
The beef market is exerting unprecedented pressure on dairy operations, pushing producers to adopt diverse breeding strategies. While crossbreeding for beef may boost short-term cash flow, it also introduces complexity in herd management and future dairy heifer supply. This delicate balance between immediate gains and long-term sustainability demands strategic foresight. How might your farm adapt to this shifting landscape to secure its future viability? Join the conversation below and share your thoughts on navigating these challenges.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's insightful discussion. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Catch you next time on the Bovine Podcast, where bovine expertise and community come together.